the Berlin Board of Health being conducted via Zoom. Anybody that wishes to speak will be given the opportunity. The meeting is being recorded for review at post-meeting times by anyone. And this is all thanks to COVID. And we can get going with discussion. Bellevue Road. I will start by saying I have no new information on the status there. Other than I believe there's just one vehicle left that somebody has expressed interest in. It's a pickup truck near the house, but it's not a big deal and shouldn't interfere with too much of anything. I have reached out and left a message for Tom just to see what plans they have or what their next what they feel or he feels their next steps are. Other than that, no critical info of any kind for that. I
Very
assume
good.
I assume you're the same place, Bill.
Same, yep, nothing
Yep.
new.
Okay. I will do my best to follow up with that before our next meeting, which I think we should have some kind of update for sure. Tobacco permit renewal reminder letters, General Store, 19 Central Street, Berlin Wine and Spirits, and 264 West Street, Berlin Auto. I believe Berlin Wine and Spirits came in and I signed letters today, reminder letters for the other establishments listed there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the general store still sells tobacco. Hopefully, when we send this letter, if that's the case, they'll put that in writing, or if they do, then they need to renew.
They
Okay.
haven't had tobacco on the shelves for, I'm going to say, almost 2 months.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the status is there.
Yeah, so if that's the case, if that's not the intention, so if you could put that in writing, but again, hopefully once the letter goes out, we'll get some type of response.
Personally, it wouldn't break my heart if they chose not to sell
Yeah,
tobacco.
and if Joe's in town, she could always send one of her folks in there just to verify. And that way,
Right.
we wouldn't bother sending the letter in the future.
Right, we'll get a response on the letter and I'll stop by and see if I can talk to Ed and find out
Yep.
What his plans are. All right, 20 Sawyer Hill Road.
Permit.
Yes, that is part of a Title V inspection. I don't know if we have the report yet, but it's a repair to an existing vent on the system and a repair to the alarm. It's got a pump chamber, so I guess the alarm's not working. So just simple work on an existing system as part of a Title V.
Okay.
And right now, it just seems like it's electrically orientated repair.
Yeah, they'll replace that alarm. I'll watch the test, and I'm not sure what's wrong with the vent, if it was snapped off or what, but that'll be repaired also.
Oh, the vent, I see,
Yep.
okay.
Is that the place for sale, Billy? Or
It is. I think the sign is on Pleasant Street, but it's the house way
Yeah.
up on the hill driveway off the
Oh,
Sawyer
okay,
Hill. Yep,
okay, yeah.
I think that's Banzel. Yep.
it is. Yep,
Yep.
exactly.
Okay.
96 Pleasant Street?
Yeah, that's a building permit. I spoke to the builder today. We've been playing phone tag for a week. I didn't expect someone here tonight on such short notice. They'll probably be in next meeting. The value of their permit is well above 50,000. So I told them about the tank requirement. So they, if they choose to move forward with the tank, that's great. If they want to come in and talk to the board, they'll probably be in next meeting.
Okay.
162 Randall Road.
Yeah, that is a septic tank permit for the Clark house that Sue just mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is part of a very costly addition, nice addition going on. So they did replace the tank. Work's been done. I've inspected it, and this is the permit. Just to follow up with the paperwork.
Okay.
And they still owe us a deed restriction. Hopefully, they're working on that. I mentioned it to the builder.
Okay. Thanks, Billy.
120 Lyman Road, D.
Yeah, that's a D box.
Oh,
It's a part of a Title V inspection that we have further on the agenda. Yep. So that's a D box permit replacement. That's just after Priest Road on Lyman Road.
so that's work to be done.
No, again, done. You know, when
Oh,
these guys
done,
call
okay.
me, the board's giving me the ability to give them a verbal once I've looked at the report and see that there's no other issues. Yep.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's the old, that's a Simonian, Billy, was
Correct.
it?
I remember doing that. I guess
Yeah.
the dad passed, but I do remember working with him way back when, putting that system
Right.
in. Yep,
No
nice
kidding.
guy.
Yeah,
192 Gates Pond Road, septic tank sewer line.
Yeah, so this was again a septic tank replacement for a building permit value. And when they opened things up, the sewer line from I think it was house to tank had to be replaced. Let me just take a quick look.
Yeah.
Yep, so the sewer line from house to tank was also replaced. So this sketch 40 now from the foundation to the new tank. And then they tied into the existing system in the backyard.
all right. Did they do a new D box? No, Billy, it didn't need it,
Didn't
right?
need it. If it had to be replaced, they would have done it at that time, but
Yeah.
it was still in good shape.
That's almost unusual because it seems like D-boxes are one of the first things to fail.
Yeah, that's very true. That is true.
River Road.
That's gonna have to bump to next. I did not get to that plan.
Okay.
How about
No.
Lyman Road?
Another
Oh, ac-
Lyman Road.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, Paul and Bob. In the 192 Gates Pond Road file, the D box was actually replaced in 2009.
There you
Oh,
go.
okay.
So that's why it was still in good shape.
You're right.
That answers the question.
Yeah. Yeah, again, that one also is gonna have to go to next because I did not get to the plan.
Very good. Was that Tex area, Bill, by any chance, or?
No, it's actually the house before Helen Roach if you're heading towards River Road, like a yellow ranch.
Turvo? On the
Uh,
right or left, Billy? You don't know.
Well, if
Don't
you're
worry
heading,
about it.
if you're heading towards River Road, it's on the left.
Yeah, so that, I'll stay out of that. That would be my aunt's house. That would be, I think it was Turvo. It might still be, but yeah. I'm
Yeah,
not sure though.
Actually, wow, it's a long last name. Marcia Tea.
Oh, that was the Meridenish. Yes, Marcia Tier. Yes, that's the next one. Oh, yeah, that is the next one before Helen's.
Yep,
Correct. I'm sorry.
you're slipping, Bob.
I know. There was snuck one in between that was always there. You're not the only one that says that.
Should work for the assessors.
No, that's all right. You make more enemies.
Yeah. Yeah, so that takes care of, actually, let me just see real quick.
Okay.
There is one item. There's a building permit in the system for the municipal building. There's a proposal to build, I don't want to say housing, but like some small, like 10 rooms with beds, break area, just some more
Kind of a
area.
kind of a dormitory
Correct.
Yeah.
situation.
So, I talked to Kristen about it, and the septic's way over designed because it used to handle the school, so that's not an issue. But the well is
Right.
public water supply, so I have brought DEP into the conversation. Based on my discussion with DEP, the classification of the type of well that's at that building might change, which will change the frequency of testing, but it won't hold up or should not hold up the building permit. So Kristen is taking that responsibility to reach out to DEP and see, if we got to meet with them, if we can do it by email, but that's in motion. In fact, I saw Kristen again today and she was going to try to get to that this afternoon.
Is that potential change because the building would now house X number of overnight people?
That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Yeah,
Right now, I want to get the nomenclature right. Right now, it's a transient, non-community system,
okay,
and
Yeah.
it could become a non-transient community system. So just that, even though the employees are back and forth there every day, and the public is different, because I think those folks are staying there. It might not, but again, that's the state's call.
right,
You know,
okay.
they're going to want to know employee numbers, how many people are staying
Yeah.
over, that
Yeah.
type of stuff.
Well, right now, they only can keep one full-time on overnight, Billy. They're working
Well,
to
yeah,
keep
but
two on.
this is being built to have people stay overnight. So, you know, the state's
Yes.
curious how many people
Yeah.
will be expected to be there.
It'll
Yep.
be low volume, pretty much,
I'm
though,
sure.
correct?
I'm
Have
sure.
you all noticed the outdoor staircase that they built?
Yeah, Assabet did that, Paul.
I know, but it's temporary.
I know, but it's elaborate, it's nice.
Yeah, well, that's my thought. It's like,
It's very
wow.
nice.
We
But
might
Paul,
be able to use that somewhere else someday.
Paul, it's funny you mentioned that, because today when I was hopping in my car, I noticed that actual staging is being used. Like, it's not like, you know, the
Yeah,
stairs are all
there's
wood.
no concrete piers or
Right,
footings or
right.
anything like that.
Yeah,
And it seems to me, I think it's logical, the reason they built it was to be able to get materials, tools, and personnel up into the space that's being converted without having to go through the lobby of the
Correct.
municipal building.
which would
Correct.
disrupt. Yeah,
But it's like a grand stairway.
it is. It is very solid. Looks big.
Impressive looking for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, Title V inspection reports, 120 something, L Road.
Yeah, that's 120 Lyman.
Okay,
Lyman.
Lyman.
So that's a conditional pass for a D-box replacement, which we did the permit up above.
Okay. 12 Linden,
Pass,
11 Derby.
pass,
Okay. 99 Coburn,
pass. Yep, pass.
Yes, yep.
23 Bailey.
That is a pass.
Very good.
44 Dudley.
Yeah, and that's a pass. So all
Oh, wow.
passes except for 120 Lyman was a conditional pass.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, now Paul is gonna give us a report on the new ADU law in Massachusetts.
No, Paul is not going to give me a report on that. I am going to ask Bill to give us all a review on that so that we are aware, because it's likely somebody will be asking us. I know I've already been approached. I think I explained it adequately, but I could use mental reinforcement.
So my understanding is with that state law passed, people have a right to do this, so they don't have to go through like a ZBA type variance, which had been the process, I think, in the past, if it wasn't allowed outright in the local zoning regs. So people have a right to do this, but they still need to comply at least with Board of Health with Title V. So, you know, I immediately got clarification from the state because we're seeing a lot of these building permits coming in.
Yeah.
And you know, whether and Berlin's been doing this all along, which is great because really not much is going to change. Whether the unit is in an existing home or it's a detached unit, either way, the tank has to be 2-compartment or 2 tanks in series. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to be doing a tank upgrade if you're proposing an ADU, and chances are you're going to need a deed restriction also, because again, if you're adding, you know, 2 or 3 rooms onto whatever the total rooms are in the home, chances are your septic's not designed for that total number of bedrooms by definition. So tank upgrade and deed restriction are likely on most of these.
Now, Billy, just a quick question now. If they go with this and decide to put in a whole new septic just for this building, are they allowed to do that?
They
Long as,
could, but
you know,
I
setbacks and all that are set, you know, within.
yeah, it's a little gray though. If the system that serves the house is pre-1995,
Yeah,
I'd really have to look at the code to see if the whole site has to meet full Title V compliance. I think if you're adding flow to a site, the site has to comply. So people might be
Yes.
looking at putting in a brand new system that would handle the number of bedrooms in the home and the ADU. That's something I'd have to clarify.
Oh, yeah. What I meant is, can they put in a separate system for the ADU if you
Well,
have the land?
Again, say you got a 4-bedroom house on a
Yes.
septic system was put in 1980, and you
Yep.
want to put in a 2-bedroom system for an ADU, you might end up putting in a 6-bedroom system that meets current code because, again, if you're adding flow to a site, therefore you're adding these 2 bedrooms in your ADU, I think the whole site might need to comply, but I don't want to say that for sure without
Right,
going through Title V. But
But
a
we
septic
still
system's allowed.
yeah,
Like say you've got a 4-bedroom home that was put a system and was put in 2000, that system meets current code, then I
Yeah.
think yes, you could absolutely put in a new system just for the ADU.
right.
But when it comes to old code, new code, I think everything's supposed to meet new code if you're increasing flow, and
Right.
that's a trigger, and that might turn people off. Or again, the key is, are you willing to limit the number of bedrooms on the site? Because then all you do is record the deed notice and you're not held to that equation.
Right.
So
So we're still held to kind of 2-bedroom, I mean, not 2-bedroom, 2 acres for one, like, occupancy, or, maybe 2 different systems, but it's 2 acres, or we don't know that yet.
well, lot sizes are going to vary. You're still held to the 440 gallons per day per acre, which is 4
Per
bedrooms
acre.
per 40,000 square feet of lot. Yep.
Yeah, I think that answered my question. Thank you.
Yep.
That's what I was trying to get at. Yep, okay.
Kind of
No,
the weak,
thank
kind
you.
of the weak link in this, and it's existed for a long time in other areas, is the whole deed restriction thing, because that's almost
Yeah.
like an honor system.
It is.
When you
Yeah,
start
right.
dealing with realtors and all that, and people wanting
Yeah.
to sell a property, I mean, it's something we really don't have any control over. We need to be aware of that, but we also need to make sure that, we're clear that deed restriction
Yeah.
is required part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
And
And if
most
upgrades are needed.
most reasonable law-abiding people, I think, would, are okay with that. But there's a weak link there, I think.
Well, it
Yes,
is because you can't control the occupancy. But again, that could be true even in a home that doesn't have an ADU. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
yep.
right.
I
What does
mean,
one
For
bedroom-
example, Mo Tavares' old place, at one point, there were 23 people living in there.
Oh, gosh.
Oh my God.
What does
Yeah, a
one
single
bedroom,
family home.
Yep.
yeah,
So,
what does one bedroom give you for occupancy, Billy? Is there a limit?
Well,
It's 2
there's
people?
kind of an unwritten rule of 2 people per bed.
Yeah, that's kind of.
That's kind of a
what
rule
we-
of thumb.
Yeah,
I don't want
but we
to, that's not hard and fast. I mean, if you have
Right.
a 3-bedroom ranch and you've got a mom and a dad, a
Right.
daughter and 2 sets of boy twins, you're going to have 2 bunk beds. You're going to have what?
all right.
You're going to have 7 people, in that
Yes,
3-bedroom
yeah.
home.
Yeah, there you go.
But
I just wonder, there's no rule really, but it's
No.
kind of rule of thumb, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect.
Bill, anything other from you? Anything new, different, anything pending that you're aware of?
No, the only
What did
hot
you say,
topic's
2 thin
that
minutes
building
of what?
permit for the municipal building. And
2 thin minutes and what?
that's about it.
Okay.
Oh,
I've
Yeah.
got 1 or 2 updates
Two
for the
things,
board.
what'd you say?
You're certainly welcome to stay. It has to do with the transfer
what?
station and our
2 thin minutes and
inactive
what?
landfill.
Yep.
Bobby, turn your microphone off. I met with the Board of Selectmen last night to give them an update on DEP interest in the town of Berlin's transfer station and the old landfill at Jones Road. I've entered into a contract with an engineering firm, Ty and Bond, who has relationships with DEP, and this is for a DEP required third-party inspection, which is part and parcel of an every 5-year recertification of our transfer station. to the best of my knowledge, we've never done a 5-year recertification. Why, I have no idea. I know ever since, well, we used to get a DEP rep that would inspect the transfer station, and the worst thing that I ever remember happened is we had to update some signage. So there will be a third-party inspection, which will result in a report to the DEP, and that'll result in whatever updates or changes we have to make. I imagine that inspection is going to be happening within the next week or so. I don't really foresee any issues down there. I think we're pretty much on top of things. We're lacking 2 items on our prohibited sign, which I have ordered, just a separate panel that we can screw on. And those items, prohibitive items that we currently do not list down there, are mattresses and textiles. But we are and have been dealing with both of those for well over a year. We have a container for mattresses and we have a container for textiles. So we just need to update our signage. And once this third-party inspection happens, we'll find out if there's anything else. But I think all in all, our transfer station operates really pretty well, and we're pretty much on top of things. Now, the bigger item is a inspection of our landfill, which has been hasn't been used since 1983. It opened in 1930. But if we, and something that I've been chewing on and trying to find things out, I'd like to turn our landfill into a solar array, a solar field, and generate some revenue. But we can't do that until the DEP signs off that our landfill is appropriately closed. So that inspection is going to be a little more in depth. Again, an engineering firm, and right now we've got a proposal from Ty and Bond, the same ones that are doing the third-party transfer station inspection. They will. I haven't signed that contract because I wanted to work through the transfer station one first to see how they were to work with. I just didn't want to sign 2 contracts, pig in the poke, not knowing who we're dealing with. So far, I think Ty and Bond is really, they have an excellent reputation. I don't foresee any difficulties, but just being a little cautious. So once they do their inspection, they will issue a report to DEP, which the criteria is pretty much dictated by DEP. We will find out if we have any deficiencies. And I know one right off is that we have no monitoring wells. And that's something DEP, I'll be shocked if they do not require that. There may be other things. So once this landfill inspection is done, they will provide us and DEP with a report. We will then sit down with them and DEP and look at what has to be fixed or what has to be done for next steps. And the next steps are going to incur costs. There's a cost for the inspection of the landfill. I think the transfer station, if I remember correctly, that's not to exceed $5,000, and the landfill is not to exceed $6,000. But that's just for the engineering services and their reports to the DEP. So once that's done, we will be sitting down with the DEP and with their leadership, identifying what priorities have to be made relative to correcting deviations. I have made an appointment to meet with the Capital Planning Committee, I think next week. to give them a heads up because going down the road, the landfill one is a wild card. You know, there may be these are just off the wall, plucking them out of the air. There may be $10,000 or $20,000 of monitoring things that are required, and then once those are in place, you know, it's going to be how the DEP wants to see our landfill closed out. Do we have to bring in a lot of cover material? Do we have to mound it? And that's when you start talking an open checkbook. We have no idea what's going to be involved. So I'm just giving capital planning and FinCom and the select board kind of a heads up that, you know, the DEP is involved. We've been they haven't bothered us really ever. And DEP, I think, particularly after COVID, there's changeover in personnel, particularly field people. But I think that contributed to the fact that DEP just wants to close the book on a lot of places. And I know they're looking at small landfills like ours, Princeton, some other communities. You know, they're doing some housekeeping, and as a result, we are in their crosshairs. And there's nothing. They've been very, I don't know if cordial is the right word, but they've been very reasonable in discussion. And I've made a point several times to them. I said, you know, you're coming in the middle of our budget year. We have nothing really set aside to deal with this right now. I've talked to Sue, we can probably cover the cost for the third-party transfer station inspection. The landfill one, I'm not so sure, but I got assurances from the select board last night that whether it's a transfer or whatever financial terms that they deal with, that they will make sure that you know, we can move ahead with the landfill inspection.
So
And
I don't
until
have
that's
to
done-
sell
I'm sorry?
myself?
What?
I don't have to sell myself to raise the money?
Keep
I was
keep
worried.
keep
I
the
didn't think
rental option open.
I didn't
You can
think I'd
look,
get much.
you can look for, you can look for grants, so, no, no, who knows?
So, you know, where the rubber is really going to hit the road where it may hurt is after the landfill inspection, and any deviations from DEP requirements are uncovered and how we go about mitigating them. Those are all unknowns at this point. And really, that's kind of the long and short of it. I can tell you the engineering firm, Ty and Bond, they're very reputable, been around a long time. They've worked with the DEP in other situations, which I think is beneficial, because a lot of this is going to come down to communication. DEP did say that on the landfill, you know, once the report is done, there will be a discussion on how to move forward. So that being said, and I've tried to emphasize with them that, you know, our landfill has been inactive for 41 years. And prior to that, trenches were dug for garbage, trash was buried, and for many years, wood debris was just burnt off.
Yes.
We've never been an industrial landfill, so I think we have a really pretty harmless site. Not saying that there isn't some kind of leachate, but not all leachates are bad.
Right,
And I made the point that, you know, frankly, this board is more concerned with the status of the old Hudson landfill on Gates Pond Road, which was an industrial landfill and took in all kinds of different material.
right,
And Hudson owns it, we're not responsible, but it's within our boundaries and could impact our residents. So I keep reminding them of that, and I think that's helping them understand our position a little bit. That,
Right.
you know, we don't have a bad situation. There undoubtedly there are things we're gonna need to improve or correct, but I don't think it's anything dramatic.
Oh, Well, may
That's
I
it,
say
yeah,
something,
Bobby.
Paul? When I was working for the town in '82, we closed it. We had kind of capped it, but we were able, we were fortunate enough to get some really nice clean clay from a site in Northborough that for free, that was hauled over and pushed over. It actually was the side of the Walmart in Northborough, Otis Street, and we have a very good cover over that. So that is a plus for
A
us.
very
I
good
think.
what?
A very good cover over it, with all the fill, after we had even closed it, it was going, we got an enormous amount of clay fill to put over it, which it may be a very good plus for us.
Well,
you
I
know.
think that is a plus. The question is gonna be, what's the
Yes.
DEP requirements on depth and so forth and
Yep, yep.
contour? Because they don't want to see valleys and depressions. They want to see
Exactly.
water shed off. I mean,
Or
it's
in,
those
yep.
kinds of things. I wouldn't be surprised that if we have to address, I'll call it some of the finished topography of what we have down
Yeah.
there.
Yes. Yep.
I understand we also had the chance to get even more material at one point, but the board at the time
Yeah,
said
I hear
no.
you. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
it is
Now,
what it is. We're
do we
dealing
get
with.
town council wrapped up in this, or they will if we have an issue, right, Paul?
Not gonna pull that trigger until things get hairy.
There you go. Very good.
I've had Kristen look at
Yep.
the contract. She was fine with them.
That's fine.
And we take it one step at a time.
Okay.
Paul, what's the vegetation like over the landfill? Is it like heavy trees or just light brush?
No,
Mowed.
mostly,
It's
Oh,
mowed.
mowed.
It's mostly grass.
Oh,
Yep.
great. That's good.
You know, I
Yep.
walked the Hudson landfill with DEP and there are trees and,
Is there now?
brush
Yeah,
and all sorts of things.
I haven't been down there for so long. Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing that I know the DEP doesn't like to see is trees and
Right.
substantial
Rooted.
vegetation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that we
You did
mow
good.
ours probably a couple times a year, I think is very beneficial. We do have an
I agree.
invasion of Japanese knotweed in a couple places, but
Yeah, right.
I don't think that's a huge issue. And it could be eradicated if necessary.
Show me how, Paul. That stuff is terrible.
You use a product called Roundup and
Oh,
you
yeah,
go about 3 times the recommended strength and you spray it end of August, early September when the knotweed is in bloom.
Okay,
And
'Cause I've even-
you'll probably get about a 90% kill rate.
cool.
Of humans?
No, of knotweed. Why, you got
Too
some
bad we
humans
can't
who
learn how
wanna
to eat
spray
it or
too, Sue?
something.
No. Oh,
I didn't
and
think you had any neighbors close enough that you'd want to douse them, so.
no, I actually like my neighbors.
There you go.
I have one thing to report before we end.
I
And
also
that
have
is-
one more thing, but go ahead.
I met with the town clerk today
Okay,
to adjust our Zoom, adjust my town government.
Yep.
Settings, so it will always be Zoom, not in person, so that the cable people can relax.
Very
and
good.
schedule accordingly, right?
Yeah, that's a
Paul,
much
how did
better
the
way of-
power excuse me.
It was,
How did the power-
it was an issue out on Jones Road, something,
Yeah.
it was a national grid issue. They
They took care
were
of it?
able to fix
Yeah.
it pretty quick once they got there.
Of course, it was during the holiday, so
Yeah.
them guys,
yeah.
they worked their, let's say, fannies off down there, trying to make work around it. I went down and they were doing an excellent job, but I said,
Yeah.
Only in the holidays does that happen after, you know, But that-
One last thing, this is particularly for Bobby and Sue. I will be talking to Irene Congdon from DEP.
Yep.
She's one of the Central Mass recycling gurus, if you will.
Yeah.
And I've reached out to DEP, wanting to do a deep dive on the whole pay-as-you-throw system. I've had
Okay.
numerous conversations with Stan. I've observed, and certainly with his help, we do have some residents that bring in
Yes.
an awful lot of household trash. And then we have some seniors that bring in one bag
One
or
bag,
two
right.
bags. So
Exactly.
there's a disequity there, an inequity. So I want to look into the pay-as-you-throw. There's no, I reached out to DEP in Boston. They said they'll give us up to 40 hours of consulting and help in exploring that whole program with no hitches or catches. Nothing is mandated. You know, it's going to be up to us whether we do anything. But I guess the way I feel is we've come to this point in time. Transfer station is running smoothly. I'd like to see a little more equity among households, and pay as you throw might be the answer, but we don't know enough
Yeah.
about it and how it all works. So I'm going to see if Irene, and I know we can do it Zoom, but I'd really like to do a in-person meeting if I can get her to come out here. So I'm going to reach out to her tomorrow, find out what her schedule is, and then get back to you guys. Bill, this doesn't obviously affect you at all. Um, so that we can start the process of really doing some serious homework on this because, well, frankly, we should. You know, as the Board of Health and largely in charge of trash, among other things, we should be aware of what our options are, what's possible and what isn't. And, you know, it's nothing that's going to happen overnight. If we did it, it's probably a year and a half away. It would probably have to go before a town meeting. I mean, there are a number of steps, but we don't have enough information to act on anything at this point. So
Good to
um,
research, Paul.
I'm gonna set that up. So I'll be in touch, and it will probably be a daytime meeting, which, you know, she works for the state, works for the DEP, and I'm sure that would be easiest and best for her. And as far as I know, unless somebody has a real issue, I think the basic board could have a meeting during the week, you know, at 10 o'clock in the morning or something like that without any heartache. So I will keep you apprised of that.
No problem researching it, Paul. Anything that works, you know.
Yep. Well, anything that streamlines what we do and makes it
Sure.
better for the residents, because we are in the service business. And I have reached out to the general store. They would be willing to sell bags. I've reached out to
Yeah.
Market Basket. I don't have an official okay, but I know Market Basket sells bags for other communities. I have the
Good.
contact name for that, corporate, as well as the corporate contact name for Lowe's. Because
Maybe
selling of bags would be, for me, that's always been one of the potential detriments.
And a limit, it's a limit to when someone comes in with, like you say, the dump truck load and whatever, but Norio would be a good one to think of too, Paul. They're both in Berlin, correct?
Right, yep, yep.
Yep.
But need to find out more before we get all those balls
Oh,
rolling.
yeah,
You know,
definitely.
Very
good.
But so that's gonna be kind of a little bit of a winter project in our quiet season.
Yeah.
Besides, I want to work Sue to the bone while we still got her.
Forget, you know, and I just changed the Zoom stuff on my town government.
Oh,
So it's gonna
do
be
you want-
John,
do
don't be intimidated.
you want a congratulatory card from the Board of Health?
No,
or-
I'm saying now I have to figure out how to go back and do it in person. I am not happy.
Susan, you got
better
me
you
on
than me.
within minutes tonight. I don't know what we're gonna do without you. You got me on in minutes, so I can't, thank you.
All right, does anybody have anything else? Oh, and before we go, John, while you're
Yes.
here, could I get a phone number for you?
Sure. 617
Yeah,
777 7877.
wow, how much did you have to pay for that number? 7877, you said?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay,
Bill, when the meeting gets turned off for recording, can I talk to you just for 2 minutes?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
all right, anybody have anything else? If not, I can entertain a motion,
I'll
please.
make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I will second that.
All right, we'll just do a quick roll call. Sue,
Aye.
Paul, I, Bobby.
All right.
All right, very good. Okay, thank you all. Bill, thanks.